Hello, my name is Kelly Bluen. I am a certified Zentangle teacher. Welcome to the first day of our Birds of a Feather series. In these videos, we're going to do some fun doodling, draw some little birds in different ways, and add some tangles to them. I'm really excited for this adventure with all of you, and I'm ready to get started. Okay, so in the introduction video, we made these cute little bird folders. If you were able to purchase the kit, that is what we created. Also in the kit are all of these little paper tiles, a button, some drawing tools, these little books, and some more things. But this is what we need today. If you do not have the kit, this is just a paper journal. Any journal or workbook that you have will work. This is a mixed media watercolor paper, so any kind of thicker cardstock paper will work for tiles. Any button will work, and then just a pen, a pencil, and a blending tool. I also do have an eraser with me, which I forgot to include in the kit, so maybe next time I'll have to do that. All right, so what we're going to do today is with these tiles, we are not going to use the largest one. We're going to use the second largest one, and I believe it's a 3 by 4. Okay, let me get my ruler out and make sure. Let's see. My ruler says about 3 by 4.5. 3 by 4.5. This is my ruler from the early 80s, and it has my name on it. Isn't that cute? Okay, so 3 by 4.5 tile today. And we need our little practice books, and we need our micron pens. For this kit, I included an 05, so it's a little bit thinner. And when we're drawing, we're gonna make sure we don't push down too hard on that delicate tip, okay? All right, so let's start in our books. I don't know why, but I always skip the first page. And this book is just going to be a collection of ideas, tangles, bird shapes, and things like that that you can go back and refer to. It's also a place for you to make lots and lots of mistakes, okay? All right, so I'm gonna start with my button, and like I said, I skipped the first page, and I'm just gonna draw 4 circles on here. So I'm tracing this button. I'll grab my ruler again in case you don't have a button. This is a 1.5 inch button. Anything round will work. Okay, so I love making birds, which is why I decided to do this kit. And I want to show you some of the birds that I have made in the past. So a couple of years ago, I started drawing these little button birds, and I started adding the birds to my kits. And so in the beginning, you got a hand-painted, see if I can find one that's a hand-painted, like here's a hand-painted and hand-drawn one. And I added those to the kits. Now, unfortunately, I have to print them because there's just too many kits. I can't paint that many. So I paint a variety and then I print them out. I do hand number them and hand sign them and then put them in every kit purchased. So this one says Love 2025. This one's Christmas of 24, Birds of a Feather. That was just a sunshine one. Inktober 24, Inktober 23. That's probably the first time I had these little birds included. Florals 2024. Here's one I was going to do, Botanicals of 2024, but it was kind of large. So anyway, you can just kind of take a quick peek at these. They're all just made, sorry, that's so reflective. They're all just made from a button. And then I've added little wings. So some of the wings I start with a point, end with the round. Some I start with the round, end with the point. Some are little tiny, some are larger. This one even goes off the edge of the bird. This one has a hat. So they're all similar, but they all have just little tiny differences. And I love adding a name or a word to the legs. I just think that's so much fun. Okay, so I just wanted you to take a peek at these, get some ideas. Look at this big wing I did on this one. This one I had something hanging from the beak. Some of them look down, some of them look up. They have different tails. This one doesn't have a tail because its wing was too big. That's all. I just wanted to show you some of the varieties. I usually add a little ladybug in mine if I can, just because they're cute. This one has a sunshine. Okay, just wanted to show you those. Let me move them all out of the way. Okay, so I've got my pencil. I traced 4 little bird bodies, and I just want to play a little bit, okay? So let's play around with their beaks. Beaks can be, let's do over here, let's write beaks. Okay, if that's the side of our bird face, I like to make just kind of this short, wide beak. That's sort of my go-to. You could also do a little bit longer. You could do one that's more open. Isn't that cute? You could do one that has a little bit more of a curve to it, kind of like a hawk or a vulture or something. Are there other ways? I don't know. But those are just a few ways. This I say is my favorite, and sometimes I do the little open mouth because it's kind of cute, like it's singing or something. Okay, so that adds personality to your birds. Also, eyes. If you look online, there are hundreds of different ways to make adorable, beautiful, different kinds of eyes, okay? Here's my go-to. I do a bump. Then I do a big, tall bump on top. I do a little circle in the one corner and a bigger circle in the other. And then I fill this all in with black. And I add maybe a little eyebrow on top. That is my go-to. You could also just do something like a circle with a dark circle and a lighter circle inside. Look how cute that looks. A lot of birds just have a little dot, or a little dot with a tiny bit of a reflection. You can add eyelashes if you want. You can add eyelashes on top and on the bottom if you want. There are so many ways. So if you go online and you look up cute eye doodles, add more to your page here. Just start playing around with different kinds of eyes. Okay. All right. So on these 4, I just want to play with adding the beak, and the beak really directs my bird. So if I have the beak this way, I'm going to have his wing here, his eye up here. Everything kind of goes the direction of the beak. This one, if I put it down here, then everything is going to kind of be in this direction. Okay. You can have them looking at each other. That's kind of cute. And again, your things that are going to go in that direction. I'm going to go ahead and just put a little line in there to remind myself. Okay, I like my eye to be right about at that line, maybe a little bit above it. So I'm going to do a bump and a bump. I'm just going to put these in quickly. I do a little circle, a big circle. Look how cute. He already has personality. I can add a little eyebrow up there. And then for the wing, here's what works for me. I like to start right about here at that halfway point, and I aura this like bottom here, and then I come up under the eye like that, and then I swoop it. That makes sense? I'll do it again on this one. So I kind of make like just a curve that follows this aura, and then I just come up at some point and give it a little swoop. If I want it to go over the edge here, then I would start out here and come up. And I could erase that little line in the middle. And I've got just a larger wing. There's so many ways to make wings. These are just the ones that I do on my little button birds. Okay, this little guy over here, let's just give him a small one. And let's make this one backwards. Let's do the dot first, like the point, and then do the wide going back. And you could even swoop this a little bit. I think both ways look cute, so I don't think it really matters. Just do whatever your preference is. Let's put in a circular eye up here. I like to do a nice big one. So maybe you prefer the circle eye versus that eye. You could also do like a tall oval eye. You could do an eye with some lashes. Okay, so we're just kind of playing with this idea of the circle, the beak, the eyes, and the wings. And this book is filled with pages. We will not use probably even half of these pages. So if you want right now to go on this page and put 8 more circles and then just play around with different wings, different beaks, go ahead and do that. So many fun ideas and so many fun ways to play. You don't always have to do exactly what I'm doing. Feel free to make these your own. I want you to love them. Okay. I think we're going to move on to our tile now, but I want you to, okay, I'm not going to move to the tile yet. I think I'm going to go to another page because I want to talk a little bit about tails. So for these circle birds, I'm just going to throw in some circles here. For these circle birds, I like to do something that starts kind of thin and then goes out longer. So sometimes that'll just be 3 bumps. That could be 3 loops. That could be like 1, 2, 3. It's kind of like those little loops, but instead they're like a full bump. Those look like tail feathers. I also love going out and doing a curl and then go this way and doing a curl and adding a bump. That's one of my favorites. I do that often on the birds. And you also could do like a muka. Do you know what muka is? Muka is where you come out, do a little curl like that, and then come back in. That would be a cute tail. I'm going to put tails and toppers. Not every bird has something on its head, but I often put things on the top of my bird's heads. So I'll do just like a couple little loops like that. Sometimes I'll just do a couple of curls. Sometimes I'll do a couple of loops and a curl if I want to add some personality and some little bit of whimsy coming down. So they don't have to have something, but they definitely can. And you can play. You can play with different shapes and ideas. Okay, now we are ready to make our button birds. That was a lot of introduction. Okay, here's my 3" by 4.5" paper tile. I'm going to zoom in a bit. Get out my button. Okay, so if I make one to put in my kits, I do a tall ways, and I think it's about a 2 by 3" tile, and I just do one button and I draw my bird. But for today, I thought it would be fun to start with 2 birds. And they can be little lovebirds, or it can be a parent and a child, or it could be best friends, whatever you want. All right, I'm going to do my button tracing with my pen because I don't want to go back and try to trace it with pen later. If you want a wing that goes over your circle, then I would trace it in pencil so you could go back and erase. But I'm not going to do that today. Okay, so I'm going to put one here. I just want to make sure I've got room for a beak. I've got room for a tail feather and room for a little bit on top. So just have room all around it. I also want to make it high enough that I can have some cute long legs and maybe put a word in them. Traced my first one. Then my second one, I'm going to make my second one a little bit shorter just to add, a little bit of variety so they're not exactly even, but it's up to you. You could make it taller, the same height, shorter. Again, just leave room around it, leave room for some little legs down here. So maybe about there for me. This is so exciting. I really love making these little guys. And it all started when a friend had dropped off some of her antique craft supplies from, I believe it was from her grandmother's collection. And let me see if I can find it. This little button was in this collection, and I loved that, it kind of looked like a flower on top, the way that it was cut. And it's not wood or anything fancy, but this is what I made all of my original birds with. Now I sometimes use this one because it's a little bit smaller. But that's kind of how that started. Okay, we have our 2 birds in there. So now I'm going to switch to pencil for the details, and then we can go back and trace them later. So you can have both of these birds looking up. You can have them looking down. You can have them looking at each other. One up, one down, one up here, one looking down here, however you want, okay? But I think just the way that mine is kind of working, I think I'm going to do this one looking up and this one looking up. So they're both kind of looking not necessarily at each other, but towards each other. I'll put in my little triangular beak. They're already getting a personality. All right, I'm going to take my pencil and just add a nice light line across that center, just so I remember which direction and where to place my wings and the eyes. Okay, I'm going to start with the wing. So I'm going to start over here and I'm going to follow down. And then I'm going to come up here and give it a curve. And it's okay if it crosses over. We're just getting a guideline. And then I swoop down and up. Just want to make sure there's enough room up here for an eyeball. And that's it. Doesn't really matter how big or how small you make that. I'm gonna do the same thing on this one. So I start at the back, and then I come over a little bit, and then I do that big round part of the wing. And then I go down and up. And if you don't like your wing big and that close to the bottom, you can make it up more. You know, mine are all different. Let me show you my wings. Look how tiny that wing is. Look at how tiny this wing is. That's really small. Now this is what I do. I tend to make them larger so I can fit more in them. But they all look adorable, so you do what you like. Okay. Let's do the eyes. I think I'm going to do one of the eyes with that little bump and the tall bump. And then this one I'll just do as a circle. Just to try out two different ways. In both of them, I'm going to put a small circle on the top right corner and then a larger circle on the bottom. So it's going to be a little one up there and a big one down here. Again, we're still just working in pencil. Then I'm going to add the legs right now. So I like to add like a little bit of the ground or something down below. So with my pencil, I'm just going to put in a faint line. And then my legs start close together and they go out just the slightest. Close together and go out just the slightest. Even adding the legs, you can change the personality. You can give it a little bit of a bend. You can have them go wider. You could do really short legs. Like, look at how cute that would look. Just really tiny short legs. Because most birds do have little short legs. When they sit on a branch, you don't really see their legs. So however you want to do it. On this one here, I did really long legs because of the space, and it looks so cute. But then other ones, you know, a little bit shorter. Okay, let's do their tails. I don't think I want to get too crazy on their tails. I'm just going to do some basic shapes. So I remember I like to start out small and get wider. So I'm going to give this one a 1, 2, 3 bump. And this one would look so cute if it had some curly stuff going on. But, and please feel free to do that. But I think I'm just going to give it the 3 bumps that go all the way down. And again, trying to make it a little bit narrower at the body and then go out a little bit wider. And then the top of their heads, I'm going to do a little upside down teardrop shapes. And maybe one bigger one in the middle. And on this one, I'm going to do 2 little ones, and then I'm going to give it a little spirally curl. Okay, do you think we're ready to switch to pen? I think we're ready. We have all the basics in, and now we get to add the fun details. So I'm going to start with the beaks. And remember, with these pens, the tip is different. Let me show you this one versus a plastic nib. So the plastic nib is just going to be a little bit stronger and not bend. And this is really delicate, but they're so fun to use a nice delicate line. Especially after February where we used the Sharpies, the big bold ones. This is a big change. Okay. And do both beaks. I'm going to make this one a little shorter and stubbier. Then I'm going to do their eyes. So I'm just tracing my pencil lines. And then I'm going to fill these extra spaces in. Again, I can push so light and that ink comes out really well. I'm going to give him a little eyebrow up there. And ink in the second one. And I think I'll give that one a little eyebrow too. They're adorable already. Okay, let's do the wing. And let's do the tops of their heads. And their little tails. Okay, now for their legs, you can make just straight little legs if you would like, or if you want, you can add some words. So I think they're really short. It might be hard for me to fit birds of a feather. Maybe I'm going to put lovebird on this one. So to do that, you could do it in pencil first if you would like, but I'm just going to go ahead and do pen. And I always start by just making a straight little line to get started. And then I just imagine where I'm going to write my word. So I'm going to write love. So it's just 4 letters and I'm going to do it in cursive. So L-O-V-E. And then I just go back up to the top with a straightish. Sometimes I add a little wobble on purpose. So I finished that line. And this one I'm going to write bird. So I go up a little bit. Love bird, and then I'm going to put in a mountain down here, which is just giving it its little cute claws. And on this one, I don't really have room for words, but what if I do a heart? So what if I go like this? I like that. And this one I'm just going to do straight up and then give it that little mountain for its little claws. So I hope that if you're watching this, you know that my series that I do, different series, are not always Zentangle based. They're Zentangle inspired. So this would be considered a Zia, which is a Zentangle inspired art. So I'm teaching you more of like a doodle, and then we'll add a couple little tangle patterns in here, but it's not wholly Zentangle method based. I hope you're okay with that. Okay, now we get to do the wings. So the wings are the most fun. You can do anything you want. Let me show you some of my wings I've done. This one has printemps in it. This one I just did like flux. I just did a little line and some dots. This one I did kind of a little leafy pattern. Some spirals. Another leafy pattern. And some spirals. So many different variations, so many options. So in this one here, I think I'm going to do crescent moon, but without adding in the dark part of the half circle. So for crescent moon, we make a little bump, and then usually we would ink that in, but I'm not going to right now. Then we aura it, which just means we're putting a line along the first line. And then I do it again. It's kind of like a little rainbow. And then I'm going to do some more. So I'm going to do a little bump, an aura, and an aura. And then this aura is going to stop right there when it runs into the first one. I'll do one over here. And now I can go all the way around the edge, or I can just start piling on top of the ones that are already there, which is what I'm going to do. So bump, bump, bump. And I like changing the directions of these. Now I'm getting to my last little space here, so I'm just going to do my best. And I still have space left, so I could just continue to aura that one, or I could act like I'm going to do a whole nother one and just try to squeeze something in there. If you end up with room over here, just add another aura. Look how cute that wing is. So much texture. This one over here, I'm not going to do a tangle pattern. I'm just going to put in some little swirling lines. So I'm going to come from this point. I'm going to come over here and give it a curl. Come over here and do a curl. And if I want, I can add some little lines with dots. And then I think it'd be cute for this one on his tail to have these curls of the other bird. So I'm going to come up this way and give a curl. And this side and give a curl. And then for the middle, I'll come up and just do a curl the one way. And then here I can do the lines and dots if I want to fill in some space. Over here on these, what if we do an inside aura like that? All of these little details add so much to the picture. And then I'm going to do a line, dot, 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 line. I think it's adorable. And if you want to add something, you could add like a little swirl coming off of the ends, like maybe it's a little stray feather or something coming off. All right, and then on this circle, I will sometimes add just the lightest little curved lines to sort of suggest that this is round and more 3D than flat. Okay, they are so cute. I'm gonna say that so many times this month. Oh my gosh, I just love them. All right, we're not quite done. So now we're gonna add some bordering and some embellishments. I'm gonna take my black pen and I'm gonna let it wiggle as I go along the bottom. And I'm leaving space at each end so that I can continue my border. So I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna wiggle my way down. And if I get to like a tail or something, I'll just jump over it and then continue down. Gonna go across the top now. Again, if I hit part of the bird, I just jump over and continue on the other side. I love borders. I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to just get rid of some of these little pencil lines. Okay, and now I just want to add some fun little embellishments. So I love doing like a loop somewhere. And then I'll just add a little spiral coming off of it. So I can do those in a couple different places. You can do them even on the bottom. It adds so much. You can do some without the little spirals. Let's add a flower down here. So I'm just going to put in a stem and a circle, and then I'll just do some bumps around it. You do any kind of a little flower you would like. Put a little curve in the middle. Could even add lines to give it some texture. And a leaf or two. Should we add a ladybug? Of course we should add a ladybug. I'm going to have mine going up the side over here. So I'm going to do a straight little line with a bump. I like to do 3 spots and a little head, little antenna, and some legs. Could also put in some leaves. And they can just be these oval, pointy ovals with a line through them. They could be a line and a dot. You can add little orbs next to some of them if you want, just because circles are cute. And then I'm going to take my pen and I'm just going to dot some texture onto the background. Okay, I'm going to grab my gold pen that was included in your kit. So I originally ordered a larger pen. Some of you might have received it. I think the brand was Pentel, and it's really thick. It has a lot of ink in it. It writes really well, but I was unable to get 500 of them. So I tried a couple different pens out. This is a Da Vinci gel pen, and I really like it. However, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it just seems like it's dried out, and then before I throw it away, I try one more time and it works. So I really, really, really hope that your gold pens work. I'm going to feel terrible if I sent out hundreds of these and they don't work. So if yours doesn't work, let me know and I'll try to find an alternative, okay? But we're just going to add some gold elements, and then we're going to do a little bit with our blue colored pencil. So I'm going to take my gold and I'm going to give them gold beaks. And I'm going to color inside the black lines. I don't want to go over the black line because it will cover it up. Look at these little golden beaks. I'm also going to do my flower gold just by putting a tiny bit around that line. I'm going to put some gold in some of my circles, or maybe a couple of my leaves I can add a little bit of gold to. And the tops of their little heads. Okay, and then in the kits I included a blue colored pencil. I would love to have included an entire color set, but that's a whole nother lesson, right? How to use colors, how to pick colors, and I didn't want there to have to be a lot of decisions being made, so I'm using blue. If you have other colored pencils or markers or pens that you love, please, please, please feel free to make these as colorful as you would like. I'm going to show you some of mine. Like here's my little lovebird, and I used all pinks and a little bit of purple. Like I stuck to a pretty light palette. This one is blues with kind of some of these like peachy champagne colors. This one had the blue with the yellow. So I don't do a lot of colors. This one is all yellow except the flower. So I like to keep mine down to 1 or 2 colors, but okay. Let's lightly, with the side of our pencil, I've got my pencil not straight up, but really tipped to the side, just gonna give him a light blue color. Not his eyes, just going around. And then for his wing, I'm gonna press down and go a little bit darker. And for his tail, I'm gonna do the same blue, but push down a little bit harder. Now on this guy, I'm gonna do the darker part on his body. Or her body, I don't know. I don't know if these birds are male or female. It doesn't matter. I go nice and dark. And then I'll do really light for the wing, light for the tail. But then I'm going to go dark in those little lined spaces that I made. And then I'm going to take my blue and I'm just going to brush it around the edges very quickly using the side of my pencil. Look at that. It's just so cute. I feel like these little leaves down here need some gold in them. And I feel like the middle of my flower could be blue. Okay. Did you love that lesson? I basically made an entire kit just so we can make these little button birds. I don't even know what we're going to do for the rest of the videos. I'm just kidding. I have some ideas. All right, this was an extra long video. These videos will post every other day, so you do have time to pause them or come back to them the next day, break them up if you need to. I don't want anyone to get, feel like they're getting behind and can't keep up. These videos will be up hopefully forever, so if you miss a day or you don't love one of the days and don't want to do it, it's okay. It's okay. You can come back to it another time. But that was our button birds. This button is yours to keep forever and ever. So you can start making little button bird cards, little gift tags, any kind of fun thing like that. All right, please join me on Facebook at Let's Tangle, L-E-T''S, Tangle. There is no membership. You just go on and like the page and you're in. If it asks you to answer questions or do a membership, that is not my site. So my site will have a picture of me. It'll have posts by me, Kelly Bluen. And so join me there. Every Sunday we do show and tell. We share our work. It's a great little community. You can also follow me on Minutes. That's not true. Mins of Zen, www.mins, MINSOFZEN, and you can be part of my newsletter and get information about upcoming kits and classes, etc. All right, thank you so much. I will see you again in a couple of days. Bye-bye.